have this 1929 Francisco Simplicio in my lap, which I have not made a complete video on yet. That's actually, I think, what I'm going to do in the next couple of days to be released this Sunday. This thing's tuned down not quite to 415, so not quite a half step down, and just past 430. Actually, I'm splitting difference between E and E flat perfectly, so someone do the math. You know, something I notice about this guitar is it wakes up. I have a number of guitars in this room that they sound a little tight and like they're holding back when you first pick them up. And then when you play them for a few minutes, you start hearing all these new things. It's like little overtones bursting. It's really beautiful. How about that sound? Dryosh says, show us that rosette. No, how dare you? Kidding. Check it out. This is, I mean, Simplicio was an expert cabinet maker before he ever started building guitars. And oh my gosh, is that rosette beautiful. And you can see the label, which I probably won't be able to show you up close without damaging the guitar. Let's see if I can get it in the light there. Yeah, it's beautiful. And then the back of the guitar, well, actually, as you look closer into the bindings and that center strip of the guitar too, you'll see a lot of the same motifs from the rosette there. But this is Birdseye Cuban mahogany. Not to be confused with like some colored or old Birdseye maple. It does look like maple, but it is in fact mahogany. And actually, for a little while I was struggling with it. People were telling me it was something different. It's not. It's definitely mahogany, and you can see, if anyone knows what mahogany kind of looks like, say if it's on the back of a neck or something, you can see it here. You can see some of the grains. Try to ignore the bird's eye pattern and look deeper. But yeah, it's gorgeous. I've never seen one with this much figuring on it. And you don't have to be in the right light or anything. It's beautiful. And yeah, so that same pattern in the rosette, if you look at the bindings of the guitar, it's there as well. All around the guitar. And on the tie block of the guitar. So a little bit about this guitar. You know, you'll hear more in the full review, but consider this like a first look. You know, Simplicio, most of his instruments, the nut was not as wide on his guitars. They're a very thin nut here. I believe, oh, I'm getting confused, but I believe this one is 49 millimeters. So it's not anywhere near the 52, and those 3 millimeters make a huge difference. You can feel that it's thinner here. So it's a really fun guitar to play on, and most of his were like that. Drew is here. Drew and Dragos both here. Man, it's power-packed. You guys can just roast me for the rest of the stream here. Ridge mahogany, yeah. And so this guitar was built in 1929. A little bit of the history of Simplicio without researching before this, but from my recollection. He stopped building guitars in 1932, I believe. I think he died maybe a year later. And he really was only putting his own label on guitars for less than 10 years. In fact, I think maybe 8 or 9 years. He was the apprentice of Enrique Garcia, who builds very similar looking instruments. And for a number of years, maybe it was like 2 years of, maybe it was 1925, 1926, he was just signing his name on Enrique Garcia's label. And then he started making his own label, which famously says the, you know, in Spanish, of course, but the sole disciple of Enrique Garcia. So kind of like looking at that and knowing there was so much, there was such an homage to his teacher then. It's pretty cool. And I have this guitar, for those of you who are just tuning, and I have this guitar tuned down a little bit low not quite E flat or not quite A flat, not down a half step, but I would say down a quarter of a step. And I find that the guitar just sounds a little bit more bloomy and open and dark with this. It's just really nice. Listen to that. So nice. You know, you'll see me missing notes sometimes because the neck is so, I mean, it's thin this way too, but it's less wide, a lot less wide than a lot of the guitars I own here, especially the Matthias Daming guitar that I've been playing on a lot from 1994. If you caught the video, maybe it was about, I think it was a week ago now, a week from past Sunday. That guitar has a 54 millimeter nut. This one's 49, so it's like 5 millimeters difference. It's a huge difference. But you adjust. You know, if I were to play this guitar for another hour, I would be used to it and have virtually no problems. I say virtually because this is a fairly, like, it's fairly difficult to get all of your fingers on certain frets if you're playing all of your repertoire. But for the type of repertoire that's great on this guitar, there is no problem. Hello, Ross Gill. Nice to see you here. If there's anything, by the way, I see 8 people are here now. Hello, everyone watching currently with me in the stream, and hello, everyone watching afterwards. And by the way, if you're watching this afterwards, you're not live during the stream, you can still leave a comment, and I'll try to reply to you about, you know, whatever it is you're asking then as well. But if you're watching live, perfect opportunity. If you'd like me any opinions about the guitars or would like to hear anything or a specific guitar, let me know. And then in a moment here, I'll switch to the next guitar. And sorry about the loose history. I was talking about Simplicio. And by the way, so Simplicio is known for these really, really deep sounding, actually lots of volume. These old Spanish, it's an old Spanish guitar with a lot of volume. The top is very thin. But oh my gosh, the craftsmanship, the rosette, all of the how the same figuring that you see on the rosette goes around the binding of the guitar, on the tie block, and then maybe most famously the headstock. Every one of these is different. When you see different Simplicios, you'll notice a lot of similarities, but the figuring that's on the headstock you'll see is slightly different, and it really adds this. I mean, especially when you're this distance away, you know, the distance, I guess from the camera to the guitar, I'm about 4 feet. You can see it without as much detail. It's this classy amount of detail. It's really cool. We got an appearance from the cat over here. He is a little bit bored and wants to scratch some guitars. I'm kidding. He doesn't do it. Okay. So, one last thing. You want to find something else that's pretty interesting about these Simplicios and how you'll know that there's an original headstock on the guitar, sorry, original tuners on the guitar, is these things that you tie the strings to on the headstock. Almost like they're pegs, right? Well, they are pegs in a way, but these are normal tuners. Do you see those? There's no hole to pass the string through. You tie them around these little things that stick out of the rollers. And you can see it even from this angle, you know, like on this tuner here. It's just an interesting thing. And, you know, you can see the original tuners on there, which I do not know the origin of, actually, where he had these manufactured, but you have to imagine somewhere in Spain. Sorry, it's not focusing. I'm going to move to the next guitar, which I will now check. Yes, I said Dominique Field is next. Okay, here's a guitar.